Last week, I covered Persona 4 Golden, and it got a little emotional. It also took a long-ass time to get all the footage and piece that video together. This week, I wanted to cover something a little shorter, more simple, but also something that holds a similarly sized place in my heart. And that game is called You Saw the Title. Oh boy, it's a Mega Man! Mega Man X4 in particular was the one that I started with. When I was a boy, my stepdad would often take me and my little sisters to the local video store. We lived in a small town, so it definitely wasn't a Blockbuster or a Hollywood Video. It was a tiny little mom and pop shop, and I imagine it was ran by some 30 or 40-year-old dude that just had a huge collection of movies before realizing he could rent them to people. I was pretty young at the time, but I remember tight aisles and packed rows of movies, and like most video stores, it had a selection of video games to choose from as well. One of the games on the shelf was, it was actually Mega Man X5, but I would rent it because we had a PlayStation back home, a classic PlayStation, a relic from my stepdad's past that we would bond over. I imagine most of us have a memory like that, right? Our mom or dad have a game console already and basically passed it on for us to enjoy as we got old enough to hold a controller. Then our first video game was just whatever they already had laying around. For me, well, it was one of a few games actually. My first video game ever was either Crash Bandicoot 2, NASCAR 2001, or Mega Man X4. Take a guess which one I remember most fondly. Mega Man as a series is one built on a very specific structure, with very specific things that fans expect from each entry. For example, there need to be 8 Robot Masters, or Mavericks, with their own themed stages for you to traverse. There needs to be side-scrolling action that causes your thumbs to feel a little raw from rocking between the buttons, and for Mega Man X in particular, there needs to be a barely strung-together story about robots with free will contemplating good and evil, peace and violence. Shit like that. This structure can make the games feel a little similar sometimes, but when Mega Man X came along, it stuck to the true core values of Mega Man Classic while changing the way you engage with that familiarity in a few notable ways. Each of the 8 stages now hold little goodies for you to find. Sub-tanks that you can fill with health or weapon energy so you can recharge in a pinch, heart tanks that permanently increase your maximum health with one defined in each stage, and my favorite, the Dr. Light capsules hidden in 4 of the 8 stages. When Mega Man X stumbles upon these, he gets an upgrade to either his feet, arms, body, or head parts. If you know Mega Man X, then you already know this, but I love how special it feels here. When you can see a little gap in the environment that makes you wonder, can I get up there? Oh shit, I can! Now, for me, the sense of discovery in this game has long since passed. I completed this game in a single sitting over the course of a few hours for this video because I already know where all the stuff is, but I wanted to take note of things that would clue the player in when playing the first time. This game allows you to kick off walls to ascend, so typically this involves leaving an open space that makes you wonder, what's up there? Other times it's a heart tank that you can see clearly, but it's somewhere dangerous that you can't just, first try, bitch! Sometimes it's a sheet of ice above you that doesn't look like any other sheet of ice in the stage, and you just happen to have a fire ability that goes straight up. Wonder what happens if you shoot it. Point is, you can totally just go from left to right and rely on your pure skill to get through the game. X4 isn't exactly the hardest one in the series anyway, but getting these things and filling out that save file is part of the fun. And shit, that save file is actually a pretty unique way to track your progress. See if you got everything. You don't want to leave any blank space on your save file, do you? Oh, speaking of that fireball ability, this game also maintains the tradition of getting a new projectile weapon upon defeating a boss. And like every Mega Man X game, there is, in fact, a boss order to make your life a little easier. Most people will start off in Web Spider's stage, typically because it's the one your cursor is always hovering over by default. I think this is by design because this jungle stage is a pretty soft introduction to a lot of things you'll be seeing throughout the game. Grounded enemies with multiple ways of attacking, flying enemies that dive you, small enemies in big groups, big enemies in small groups, and enemies that can't be killed but must instead be avoided, platforming, and even the easiest Dr. Light capsule to find in the game. A capsule that gives you one of the most useful abilities right away, that being the ability to dash in midair and hover in place, encouraging you to find the other capsules and just see what other goodies they have to offer. Web Spider's stage is a great way to start off your X4 journey, and his boss battle is no different. His first phase is easy to understand and get the hang of while you try to get your shots in, and his second phase is a little bit trickier and gives you a taste of how bosses will demand that you not just pay attention to them, but the ground beneath your feet as well. Well, there's a bit of a caveat to that. If I were to give this game one piece of real criticism, it would be that following the boss order kinda trivializes the boss battles for X. Once you beat Web Spider, your next stage ideally should be the Split Mushroom stage. I think most people remember this stage for the trippy staircase effect and probably getting a little overwhelmed by it, but the rest of the stage is pretty standard stuff. Until you reach the boss and this happens. Yeah, when you play as X, every single one of the 8 Maverick bosses is like this. The boss fights get a lot better when you get to the Colonel, Double, and Sigma because they don't have a designated weakness, usually. But it does ensure that if you're following a guide or just really good at guessing, you'll likely never see all the cool attacks that these Mavericks dish out, because you can just stun lock them with a single ability. And once you get the helmet upgrade that gives your special weapons unlimited ammo, you can just kiss strategy goodbye. If you do have this game, which is easier than ever thanks to the Legacy Collection I used for this video, I highly suggest trying to play the game as X using only the X-Buster. It's a powerful and satisfying weapon all on its own, and the one you'll be using for 90% of the game anyway. So actually engage with the bosses and learn the patterns. I promise it's more gratifying that way, and Hollow Knight fans will relate. But wait, what do I mean by play as X? The game is called Mega Man X. Of course I'm gonna play as X, right? Who the hell else would I? Oh shit, oh sweet baby child. Let Gambit show you the real reason this game is fucking baller. Yeah, I'm dedicating a whole section of this video to Zero. When talking about X, I talked about how a lot of this game just feels a little too easy with him. What I didn't know when I was a little kid is that playing with X is kind of intended to be like easy mode or normal mode, depending on how you look at it. If you want more of a challenge, more of a shake-up to the core gameplay, you play as Zero. Unlike X, Zero has a different starting weapon, the Z-Saber, as opposed to the X-Buster. I fucking love the way this game names stuff, I swear to God. This is a strictly close-range, 3-hit combo weapon, and it demands that you get up close to enemies and deal damage. And boy, does this thing pack a wallop. You can dish out those combos basically as fast as your finger can tap the button, and its high damage output balances with how close you have to be to use it. X's charge shot is really strong, but it takes a second to get hot and you still have to aim it. Zero's Saber dishes out the same or more damage more quickly, at the risk of taking damage by getting so close, because this is one of those games where touching the bad guy hurts you. Don't think about it. This makes sure that even bosses that Zero actually has a designated weapon for require at least 10% more finesse than X would need. This is what Split Mushroom looks like with Zero, for example. And look, it's not especially more difficult, but it's something. Ultimately, the Mavericks are still fairly easy to cheese even with Zero. Except for this fucker. And those late game bosses are way more fun, too. Even if the game still feels like it's on baby mode with Zero for you, you'll at least have a different experience going through it with him. You have to relearn how to engage with all the various things that you've encountered in the game with X. And what a cool motherfucker Zero is. Side note, here are the top 5 reasons Zero is a fucking badass. Number 1, he's red. Number 2, he's got pointy cat ears. Number 3, he's got a fucking lightsaber. Number 4, he's got that sick, cool, spinny double jump that you get from Split Mushroom. And number 5, oh my god, he's so hot, I just wanna—
What do you think you're doing? It's not too late. Stop now.
Okay, I'm calm. I also just showed you a little snippet of a cutscene from the game, so let's talk about that next. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Mega Man X3 was the first game in the X series to have a cool FMV sequence in it. A high quality animation that lets you see X just moving around and doing what he does. And it was pretty sick. Mega Man X4 has even more of these, and they are awesome. For these older games where your only reference for a character is what they look like in the game and what they look like on the box, it's so nice to see something like this as a little reward for making progress. Like, come on. Don't you kinda want a full-on Mega Man X anime after looking at these? I know I fucking do. Unlike Mega Man Classic, the story in Mega Man X also takes itself about, 10% more seriously. The story of Mega Man Classic deals with one good robot trying to fight a bunch of bad robots and the Albert Einstein-looking bastard that scrambled their brains. Nothing especially more complicated going under the hood as far as theming goes, and that's okay. But once they added the X, things got just a little bit darker. Yeah, I'm one of those guys that actually obsesses over all the lore that connects Mega Man Classic all the way to Mega Man Legends. Yeah, did you know that all of these games take place on the same timeline? Crazy. Anyway, Mega Man X isn't just a robot. He's the original Reploid, an android that possesses true free will. X is a pacifist. He really doesn't want to fight, and that comes up in every video game as X detests violence and doesn't want to hurt anyone. It's a fascinating shakeup for a character like this, but also sometimes it can be a bit of a whoo boy. And Zero over here was built to be the antithesis to X. Zero and X are partners in these games, not even realizing that their fates are intertwined in a way they could never imagine. And this is, I believe, the first game in the series that actually demonstrates this. X has plenty of cutscenes in his own campaign as well, but Zero is clearly the star of the show here. Zero's campaign starts with Dr. Wily coming to see Zero in his dreams, encouraging him to fulfill his true purpose, and by the end of the game, we find out what that purpose really is. X is the original Reploid, but Zero is the original Maverick. The main bad guy of these games, Sigma, was actually there when Zero was awakened. Not only did they beat the shit out of each other, my god, but the beatdown was so thorough that Zero actually passed on his evil, the Zero virus, to Sigma. These themes get a lot more time to breathe in Mega Man X5, but it's a fascinating little nugget to chew on here after the credits roll. And these beautifully rendered anime-inspired cutscenes plant the seeds in our heads that perhaps the line between friend and foe may not be as clear-cut as we'd like it to be. Not bad for a cute little game about the Blue Bomber battling Street Fighter dragons and Steve Irwin busters. And Jesus Christ, is that blood? Do these robots just have, like blood in them? What the hell, Dr. Kane? And Zero, why are you cussing? What was this game rated again? What the hell is that? Kids to adults? Seriously? But alright, let's be real. You don't want me to talk about how cool these cutscenes look or the wider story implications that they have. That's not what you want to hear. You want to know what I think about this, don't you?
Ah! No, this isn't happening! There's no reason for me to go on. What? What am I fighting for?
Really? This? What? You want me to make fun of this? You want me to poke fun at these poor, terrible voice actors?
What if I become one of the Mavericks?
Don't ask such a silly question. I'm breaking contact now.
Wait, Zero! I'm serious! Zero, if I become a Maverick, you have to take care of me.
You think I'm gonna tell you that it ruins the mood and dampens my opinion of this game? Fuck that, dude. I'm the guy that cheered when Chris Redfield punched a boulder, and I cheer for this voice acting every single time I play it. What am I fighting for? Is the kind of beautiful concoction of writing and performance that produces pure, shimmering gold like this.
Stop, please! Brother, please! Don't you remember? Zero saved my life.
Oh, very well then. I'll spare your life for now. But next time, there'll be no mercy.
And I am fucking here for it. One of these days, I will probably talk about either Mega Man X8 or Mega Man X Command Mission, where I think these characters finally find their definitive, actually good voice actors. Until then, we're stuck with these goobers, and I don't mind that one goddamn bit. I love these little goobers, and I love this little video game for all of its flaws and all. Mega Man X4 is the kind of game I just don't think can really, truly be beloved if it wasn't experienced by a generation of impressionable youngsters that needed to see heroes vanquish a purely evil villain in their chosen form of consumable media. It's got primary colored good guys fighting against a lot of green and purple bad guys, simple, easy to digest themes about the nature of mankind, gorgeous music that makes you wonder what the fuck happened to us all these years later, stellar 32-bit graphics that were some of the best to ever do it, and gameplay that takes a time-honored formula and sprinkles in a lot of additional goodies that only ever add and never subtract. Layer on top of that the wonderful FMV cutscenes with iconic voice acting that is unforgettable whether it wants to be or not, and you have a video game that stands the test of time and deserves to be played by every generation of stepkids that are to come. And if you're not down with that, I just got 2 words for you.
Get ready!